Join us each week for some booze-free banter about life without booze.
If you're entertaining the idea of cutting back your booze by a day, a week, a month, or for the rest of your life, we would love for you to tune in.
Buckle up and come along for a ride that may just change your life. Please note that some of the conversations we have may be triggering. Please reach out to your local support service in Australia. That's Lifeline 131114.
Hey, Maso.
Hey, Breeza.
Did you know that each Altina botanically built non-alc wine features a native Australian ingredient?
I did not know this. Australian made.
There's native forest berry in LeBlanc, native rosella in La Vie en Rose, and native rye berry in Sangria.
Yes, for the natives.
Yes, for the natives and the flavours.
Oh,
the flavours.
The flavour flav.
Flavour hits me every time. I actually cracked a Sangria on Monday night.
Oh,
I felt like a drink, and I was like, I'm going to go and get an Altina, and off I went, and I had it while I was cooking dinner.
Good on you. I love that.
It bloody hit the spot.
They do hit the mark every single time. They are so refreshing, aren't they?
Yeah, and they look stunning, and we so appreciate Altina's support. They've been absolute guns.
We love you, Altina.
Love you, Altina. Meso.
Breeza.
Are you as up and about as I am today?
My head's nearly spun off.
No. What an interview we have just had.
Oh, one of the, I don't know, are we allowed to rate our guests?
Well, I feel like we rated her in the sack during the conversation. Who have we just been speaking to, mate?
We have been speaking to Sammy Wilson from Sober Mates.
Yes.
And she is an absolute firecracker.
Oh, absolutely. Isn't she just?
Oh, yeah. And just wise beyond her years. I'm listening and hanging off every word. She's only 28. I'm like, how do you know this? I'm like, she's teaching us stuff, and she's just a ball of energy and confidence and just self-awareness.
Self-awareness through the roof.
Yeah, and she's so infectious. I love this chat, and she gave us so many gold nuggets too. She's brilliant.
Absolutely. She was just a ball of fun, wasn't she? Energy plus, just so brutally honest. Not even brutally honest, but just so vulnerable and honest with everything in her life. We covered a lot, didn't we, Maso?
Yeah, I'm on a high. She's just real. She's real.
Yes.
And she makes you feel like whatever you're doing, it's okay. It's good.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. I just love her attitude. I love her approach to life. And she is just, has so much energy, and she's doing some amazing things in this space and helping so many others through her Sober Mates community.
Loves it. And just a real natural.
Yeah. And just a gorgeous inside and outside.
We love her.
What do you reckon, mate? So should we get amongst it?
Let's do it.
Whoa. Just back it up, mate. So back it up before we get amongst it. What are we drinking today?
I am on the Altina LeBlanc. I love this. It is so fresh and delicious. Got it. I can't decide which one's my favourite.
I know. I go in between, depending how I'm feeling.
Same. But what I love about them, they're all so amazing. You can have them any time of the day.
So amazing.
Any time of the day.
Yes, baby. Today I am drinking Smug AF Margarita. They're actually today's episode sponsor, Maso.
Smug.
I love Smug.
Love Smug so much.
Yes, you'll be hearing about Smug during the ep, so buckle up, peeps.
Yeah, get into that.
All right, take two. Let's get amongst it.
Let's go. Welcome, Sammy Wilson.
A big warm welcome to Sammy Pocket Rocket Wilson.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
We are so pumped to have you on today's episode, Sammy. I said to Maso last night, I'm like, I reckon it's going to be a real up and about, high energy, jumping off the roof.
Exactly. That is what I'm all about. So keen for that this morning.
Yeah, we're going to be fighting over each other. All right, Sammy, you've heard the podcast before. You know we just throw you straight in the deep end with the shame story. Tell us something you just cringe.
I know. On the gas. I was like, do I really want to do this?
Too late now. Can't back out.
I don't know.
You gotta have shame on me. Shame on me.
Oh, there's so many stories, right? We all have those shameful moments, and I think one of a story that I probably dislike the most is the story about the day after when I went sober, because it was that bad. So I was hosting my mate's hen's party, and love being a host. I'm the organizer of the group, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to drink till 4 p.m. So we're leaving the house at 4, and everyone was starting to do some vodka shots before we headed into town, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'll just keep chilling. And then there was like 4 left over, and the girl was like, oh, don't worry, like Sam will do it. So did the 4 vodka shots, smashed them. And then I was like, well, everyone's been drinking since 10 o'clock. Like, I've got to play catch up. Don't think that works for anyone. So played catch up, probably caught up and overtook the gals. And, went to piano bar. We had an afternoon there. I was absolutely smashed. I was the annoying drunk. I was hassling everyone to do more shots and do all that sort of stuff. And I was never really a bad drunk. Like, I wasn't violent or anything like that, but I was annoying. And it got to the point where my friends were like, all right, Sam, let's go home. And I'm like, no. So I kept pushing everyone out. I was a casual smoker when I drank. Don't tell my parents. So there was a girl there that had cigarettes, and I didn't have any that night. And she was leaving, and she's just like, here's 5 cigarettes. And I was like, okay, I've got 5 in my hand. And I don't carry a purse. I hate carrying a purse. So my bestie holds all my stuff, hates that I smoke. I shoved my cigarettes in her beautiful clutch and let her deal with it. And then I was like diving into her clutch all through the night to grab a ciggy, snuck around the corner to have that dart, then come back. And then I think everyone was done with the night. They'd had a good night. I was like, I want to keep kicking on. And then I got home, and I think the hangover was just starting to hit me. Like, I was starting to get depressed. And I'm like, oh, the hangover's hitting too soon. I haven't even gone to bed yet. So, drunk dialed my ex, as we do. It was his 30th, and dragged him to my house, did the thing you're not meant to do with your ex after you break up. He left in the middle of the night because we were both annoyed at each other that we'd done that, because we were trying to have a clean break, which I'm not really good at. I'm better at now, wasn't then. And then woke up in the morning, didn't want to look at my text. So whenever I got drunk in the morning, I would delete all the messages, because if they're deleted, I never sent them. And it's like so fine. So yeah, was crying in bed, didn't want to look at my Instagram story, which I still have in my archives, which I don't know, just a little shame thing that I like to go through just to give myself a headache sometimes. But yeah, my housemate dragged me out. We went to the pub for a palmy, and I can usually, I would always back it up. And that time I was like, Coke Zero, come at me. So yeah, it was just like one thing after another, and just being a messy drunk and sleeping with the ex. So I don't know if he listens to these podcasts, because I do like to tell that story. And I'm like, oh, what if he knows, like, his mates here that I've dragged him home on his 30th to have some drunken sloppy sex, and then he's gone again. So yeah, it's just, a million different things that went on. But yeah, not one of my favourites, but it happened. So got me to hear.
I feel like that's like your classic shame story, like your classic night out. But I took the takeout for me there, Sammy, was a silver lining is he wasn't there when you woke up.
Yeah.
There was no get out of bed, chew your arm off.
No, I'm not like a sleepover type of gal with one night stands and things like that. So I'm like, get out of my space. I'm happy to sleep on my own. I mean, I thought I had good pleasure with you, but mate, it was sloppy drunken sex. Who knows what it was like? But yeah, who knows?
My face is hurting straight up.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Sammy. I think we both need to buckle up, Maso, for the rest of this episode.
maybe, yes. I don't know if it's all uphill or downhill from here.
Actually, I need to take my jacket off.
Sweating.
I've got the heater blaring on me as well. Sammy, that was a cracker. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So let's hook into it. Can you take us back, Sammy, to when you had your first drink, and I guess how your relationship with booze evolved from then on?
Yeah. So my family, a very social family. They love hosting parties. We've got a bar in the family home. So I was used to alcohol being around me, but my parents were really strict and we weren't allowed to try it or drink it or taste it or anything till we're 18. So after school, when I was probably 12, me, my best mate Emily, her younger brother and my younger brother, we're all like family friends, and we went into the bar and we're like, okay, we're just going to try stuff. And so we're getting like Bundy Rub and like Ouzo, and we poured them all into little shot glasses and we're all like dipping our finger in and like tasting it. Disgusting. It was so foul. And then I don't know how much we drank. I don't know if it was much at all. It was probably like one shot each. And then because we were literally having the tiniest sips like Maduri, and like my parents' bar has everything.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah.
And then we see Mum coming into the driveway. It's quite a long driveway. And I just scream at my brother. I'm like, go get the milk. So he like drives to the like back to the kitchen, goes, gets the milk. We clean up everything. Like I'm not a milk person. I can't drink milk straight from the thing. But I was like shooting like milk. So I'm like, I'm going to get the flavour and the smell so Mum doesn't like know. We've told that story to both like Emily's mum and my mum and our parents since, and they were just like, we thought you were good kids. I was like, nah, nothing. So yeah, like because alcohol was so embedded into my parents' social life and my family friends, I was always around. I was like, I want to be involved. Like I want to be in this. Everyone's having a good time. So like I did sneak drinks. I was like going to 16ths and things like that. And then once I turned 18, we had like a big party and my dad's like, all right, here's a drink, here you go. And it's just such a weird thing. Like there's just flip over a day and you're magically allowed to have this drug in your body and there's no real consideration. There's no real chat. Like there's no alcohol chat like with my parents. It was just like, okay, you're in it and this is what you do now. You're a part of society. And I was so excited. Like my dad is an incredible host, such a welcoming man. And you know, I pride myself on being that as well in social situations. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I'm in this. I was going to my family parties and then had a year off and travelled after high school for a bit over 8 months around Europe and enjoyed that. I was a bit of a poor backpacker, so I wasn't drinking a lot. I wasn't really in it. I was just more about the experiences. But once I went to uni, I was like, oh, Goon's so cheap. I can do this every night. And that's when that binge drinking cycle started. And then, once uni finished, it was just like it was a different type of relationship I had with alcohol at every stage of my life. Like with uni, it was those parties and like just aiming to get as messed up as you possibly could and then going out. And then once I went into my corporate gig, it was like Friday night drinks. It was socialising with the gals. It was the wineries on the Sunday. It was, you know, a nice glass of red when I was cooking dinner. So, it just had a different relationship as I went through, but like alcohol was always by my side. It was my best mate when I was socializing and I didn't know how to socialize without it.
So many people would be shaking their head going, yep,
yeah,
in agreement here, Sammy.
Yeah. My head's about to nod off. I'm with you. So then, Sammy, you're a real spring chicken. You are. And what age were you when you quit drinking? And why did you give Breeza a flick? Talk us through that.
So I was 26 when I gave up, which is quite early.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I decided to take a break from booze. I toyed with the idea of going sober for about 18 months. I would give up for a month. I'd always do dry July. But what I would do when I had that month off is I'd move all my social events to the following month. So I was not being challenged.
I'd hibernate.
Yeah, just hibernating, like going to the gym. And like I did feel those benefits. I was like, damn, I feel good.
Yeah.
But then it was the first of the month again and it was back into it and I was back to having like a million events a week. So that like totally commend people on having breaks and it's a really good thing. But for me, in those breaks at that time, I didn't learn anything. There was no like assessing my relationship with alcohol or, you know, figuring out what it does to me. It was just like, okay, we're taking a break. You're a good person. You've taken a break. Now you can get back on it guilt-free. And
shouldn't you get hammered?
Yeah. So after that drunken night that I spoke about earlier, woke up the next day and I thought something does need to change. So I decided to take a 3-month break from alcohol. And I'm a avid learner and a big researcher, and like I like to deep dive into different topics and themes. So I decided for this 3 months, I'm just going to read every single book I can and see what alcohol's doing to me and figure out like why I can't drink like everyone else. Like I thought I was the only one that got anxiety, that was waking up shit the next day. Like it got to a point where one glass of wine would affect me the next day. And I thought, it's me, it's not alcohol. So like if I can read up on this, then like I can figure it out and then I'll be able to like drink like everyone else. Yeah, so like it was meant to be that 3-month break, and the assessment probably went the other way because I got 6 weeks in and I was waking up really happy, and I'm a happy, bubbly person anyway, but those mornings were a game changer for me because I always had been an inconsistent morning person, consistent now. But I was like, well, why wouldn't I want to wake up like this every day? And so my friends, at the 5th week of my sobriety, I had my friend's wedding, from that hens. And I was able to get through that really well. And then, the 6-week mark, I was like, okay, I think I'm done. And I told all my friends and my family I was taking a 3-month break. And they were like, oh, it's going to be so good for your mental health. You're going to feel so good. And I was like, piss off. Like, why are you saying this to me? Like, you guys all drink too. Like, why are you saying it'd be so good for me? But I think I had a bit more of a problem than I probably realised. I was probably having an effect on my friends and family more than I realised as well. So once I got to that 6 weeks, I was like, okay, well, like the switch just flipped. I read Annie Grace's This Naked Mind. I'd been just like, okay, what is alcohol giving me? And it's like, well, not a hell lot. Like everything I think alcohol is giving me, I'm actually doing for myself. So I thought that's it. It was interesting conversations with friends and family. Once the 3-month to forever, it's really different. Like a friend's like, oh, you've got to have a drink on your hen's day. And I was like, I'm still sleeping with my ex. That's wedding day is not happening anytime soon. So it was funny having those conversations.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was just as soon as we say we're not drinking, we go to all these different celebrations that you're like meant to be drinking at. Yeah. And like, 6 weeks earlier, they were saying how good it'd be for my mental health. And 6 weeks later, they're like, oh, no. You can't like not be doing what everyone else is doing in society. So, it was, I guess, not the easiest choice to make, but it was definitely the simplest choice to make for my mental health. And I'm so glad that I made that decision purely for me.
So good. I'm not sure if you saw, Sammy, we interviewed Olivia Molly Rogers, was it the start of this year, and she got married and she was sober for her wedding, and she said it was awesome because she remembered every part of the day and evening. Yeah. And she was glowing. Like, obviously it's a wedding day, but she was absolutely glowing. And when you mentioned before, Sammy, about how you had done, dry Julys before and learnt nothing, I did the same thing in 2000. I think it was 18. And on the 1st of August at 10 o'clock, I was down in Verve in the office. Yeah. Yes, it's done.
Yeah, like I think
kick it off.
One of the dry Julys, I was in Fiji. I flew in on the 26th. I'm half Fijian. And we'd organised a boat cruise on the 1st of August because it was like all inclusive. And I was like, I'm just going to get rat shit because I've done so well for 31 days. So
isn't it funny what we tell ourselves in our heads? Like you've earned this.
Yeah.
So tell us, you sort of touched on it already, Sammy, but those early days of sobriety, like you are such a social butterfly. You can see that through the content that you produce on Instagram. You're such a social butterfly. So like, was that difficult in the early days of socialising because you'd never really done it properly before?
Yeah, so I'd never done it properly before, and I think I was really lucky. I gave up drinking 5 weeks before we went into lockdown. So that's where like everyone's like, how did you do it at the start? I'm like, well, I couldn't like go out and socialise. So it's I feel a bit guilty talking about it because I am such a social butterfly, and I got a bit of leeway at the start because I wasn't forced to socialise. But I was living in a house with 3 other people who were drinkers. For them, for me, they were so supportive. And I couldn't believe it. Like my friend Ella was like, okay, because we used to take turns buying 6 like a case of wine, red wine to have in the house. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm sorry. And she's like, oh, do you want me to, because my bedroom was downstairs and everyone else's was upstairs. She's like, do you want me to move the red wine upstairs so you don't have to see it?
Oh,
like,
that's unreal.
Yeah. And then, Easter came round and I'm really close with my family, and it was really, really hard not to be with them over Easter. And my housemate, Ethan, he got, we were doing mimosas for breakfast, like we did a big cook up, and he got me alcohol-free champagne, and it was all these different things of support. And I think that was the most important thing. And it was hard telling people, like I didn't tell anyone for the first 3 months out of my core circle, but my housemates they were my core circle, and they were so supportive. And I think it's really important to tell people that you know that are going to be by your side, because you can still do those social things. For me, like having something in my hand is so important. Like I still get a little awkward when I go to bars, and I'm like, quickly, like get me a drink, so I can have something in my hand, so I could like it eases my social anxiety. And then I gave up in Feb, but probably wasn't until July we had like a little bit of space to go out. I had my best mate's 40th, and I called up the bar and got them to organise alcohol-free gin, and I didn't know. And then I went to order
legends.
something. And I was like, I'll have a soda water. And I think spoke to the bartender. He was like, oh, are you sober? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, we've got this. Do you want to try this? And I was like,
I love that.
And then it was really cool because I can't even remember what the gin was. But he put like a cinnamon stick and a star anise in it, and then because it was like an all-inclusive, like my mate had paid for, everyone's drinks, everyone was like ordering champagne and wine, and then I was walking around this beautiful cocktail, and everyone's like, oh, what is it? And I'm like, oh, it's like alcohol-free. So, I was really lucky to have a lot of support, and I'm an absolute extrovert, get my energy from other people, and my role, I guess, has changed a little being sober in, how I socialise. Like I'm still an organiser of going out. I still go clubbing. I'm still at the bars. Like you won't catch me inside on the weekend. I'm trying to be better. Like I'm trying to, and I'm like, why? Like I love going out. Like
get amongst us, Sammy.
Yeah. I think like last Friday night, like someone's messaging me. He's like, oh, do you want to go for a drink? And I was like, it's like 8:30 at night. I was like, God, yes, like get me out of the house. Like, so we went out for a few mocktails. So I still really love socializing, but the reasons for going out have changed. Like last time, like when I was still drinking, it was like, all right, I've had a bad week, I just want to get a bit fucked up. Yeah. Oh, sorry, can we say?
Go for it.
I just want to get a little loose and whatever. And like now when I go out, I'm like, oh, I want to have a great night with my mates. Oh, I want to like listen to some live music. Oh, I just need to dance. Like there's always a good reason for going out now, or it's like, oh, I just want to be around a million people and like rub shoulders and like run into strangers and make friends. So the reasons for going out have changed slightly, but in a sense, I guess they haven't really, because I just wasn't assessing it back then. I was probably going out for all those same reasons, except like alcohol was just front of mind. I was like, oh, I just want to have like cocktails with the gals. I'm like, oh, I still want to do that. I just don't want to have the alcohol with it. So I'll order mocktails and they'll order whatever they order. So
love that.
Yeah, it has been a little bit of a change in, I guess, how the night goes on, but I love it. I get to drive. I get to go home whenever I want.
Yes.
I still get my Maccas at the end of the night. I'm like, I get to go through the drive-through. I'm not getting Uber Eats. Like I'll go through the drive-through, get home, like have my little cheeseburger and go to bed.
That's gold.
Oh, I love that so much. How good are your mates? Can we talk about
amazing.
Like what an extraordinary bunch of humans to be so supportive to, get your alcohol-free bubbly and have those mimosas and organise a gin. Kudos to them. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We can all learn so much from your friends. So friends, well done from us.
Well done, Sammy's friends.
Yeah,
Yes.
they are incredible. I'm very lucky.
Oh, it's amazing. Oh, so May 7th, 2020, your first post on Sober Mates. Actually, can you just tell us what the handle is quickly?
Oh, it's at Sober Mates. Very simple. Yeah.
Get over there. Well, it hit so your first post hit the Instagram grid. So tell us about Sober Mates and why you started it.
Yeah, so Sober Mates is my absolute passion project, my baby. So yeah, when I got 6 weeks into, saying this is forever, me being me, I was like, I need to find a community. I need to find friends. So I thought if I'm going to, because I was so excited and I was so in it. And I know, and everyone goes sober, they're just like, I need to tell the word about this. It's like, running a marathon for the first time or becoming a vegan. It's just like, blah, we're going to tell everyone. I thought if I post this on my personal page, I'm going to alienate everyone. No one's going to like me. No one's going to invite me to things. So I'm like, okay, I need to find a community where I can chat about this. So I was looking on Instagram, and to be honest, my deep dive into it probably wasn't that good, because once I started Soulmates, I found out there's this massive community that I had no idea about. So I was looking for resources. I was looking for connection, and there are some wonderful resources in the UK, in the US, and back in 2020, there wasn't a lot in Australia. There wasn't a lot for someone giving up drinking in their mid-20s, like the peak of our social days. So I was like, what do I do? And then I thought, well, I'm just going to create something and just have a little chat, talk about my experiences. I'm not a professional, but what we do at Sober Mates is we talk about our lived experiences. And that's where I think we hit the mark is well, I remember when I was launching it, I live in Geelong, and I went to the Geelong Addy and spoke with the business editor there, and I was like, you've got to write a story about this. You're going to love it. And he was like, no. I was like, oh. And then he's like, no. He's like, this isn't a business article. This is a personal story. I was like, okay. He's like, no, I'm still going to write it. I'm just going to write it from your story. I was like, no. It's not about me. And he's like, no, it is, because your story will hits the mark with everyone. You just don't see it. And I didn't see it. I really didn't. I was like, Sober Mates isn't about me. It's about bringing a community together to chat about our lived experiences and the struggles we're going through and the awesomeness about being sober. And he's like, no. You're the one dealing with anxiety. You're the one that's seen this. You're the one that needs to talk about this. And he was so right. And that was a shift for Sober Mates, because I was like, well, as much as it's not about me, it's that, well, I'm running this. I'm having these experiences. I'm going to tell everyone about my experiences and see if anyone can relate. And that's been, the biggest game changer for Sober Mates. So, we are a community where we help you explore your relationship with alcohol. For me, I think that's something that's not discussed enough at our age group when we turn 18, when we're in our teens, that we just pick up a drink and we just okay, we fit into society, now off you go. So what we want to do and what we help people do is that we create posts that are a little thought-provoking, that make you have a little bit of a think, but we frame it in a positive way. We don't bag out people that drink. We don't have any negative posts at all. It's just hey, have you thought about this before? And that's what I like about what we do, because all up until I was 26, it's alcohol is bad for you, drink responsibly, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no one hears that. No one hears that at all. It goes straight over your head. So the way we frame it is okay, we don't provide any stats and figures, because I think people lie when they do those surveys anyway. There's no stats, there's no figures, but there are facts with what alcohol is doing too. And it's just making you have a little think, maybe have a little journal, maybe meditate on it, maybe discuss it with your mates, maybe discuss it with your parents or your partner, and just start to have those taboo conversations that we haven't been having.
Love that approach, Sammy. How refreshing.
Yeah, so do I. Can I just show you the second post? Can you read that out, Sammy?
I've got 99 problems, but a hangover induced anxiety, which leads me to believe that everyone hates me. 8 months.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's your second post. I'm like, a weapon. I love that.
Yeah. So, we launched on my 3-month sobriety. So, we're coming up to our second birthday soon, which is
happy birthday. Goosebumps. Oh, my God. I'm just loving what you're doing, Sammy. We are here for it.
I've got so many questions that have just popped into my head as we're talking. Quick one. They're all quick ones. What was the response like from the Geelong Addy article?
Amazing. So we got a lot of followers. So I say it's just me, but I like to say we because like we're a community.
Yeah. That's gorgeous. I love that.
So there was a lot of response. Like I think I got 1,000 followers within like 10 days or something. It was insane. Like we got onto ABC Talkback Radio before. So I launched on the 17th. So it was a couple of posts. It was like 10 days after from the first post, and got onto Talkback. So these were people that didn't know me that were following me. And I was like, this is insane. It was like 40 people or something. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And then Geelong Addy came out, and then there was a couple of different articles. Like the Geelong Addy one was on like the Herald Sun website, and there was some news articles in Queensland. And then, going, like, telling my story. Like, when we launched on Sobriety, I launched on my personal profile that this is where I'm at my journey. And then, like, I'm 3 months sober. And then I did another post saying, this is what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to be sharing my story. And it was really, really scary. Like, I was in lockdown, living at my parents' place in the country, and made my brother go down to the local IGA to get me some Carlton Zeros to celebrate. And like, and he was like, he wasn't too keen on it. He had a long day at work. I still feel really bad about that because I was gluten intolerant. Like, I am gluten intolerant, so I can't even drink them anyway. But I was like, I was in a town of 1,000 people. Like, it's the only option that we had. So I was like, oh, we're going to take it. So.
Oh, that's a classic.
That's so good.
I love that you celebrated, even if you didn't drink the AF drink. I love that you had that whole ritual.
I had a good sip and cheers with my brother and my mum and dad.
That's all you need sometimes. You touched on it just before, Sammy, about when you were in ISO. Can I ask, were you a midweek drinker, like at home? You said you would have a red wine with dinner. Was that something you would do?
So not every night, depending on the week, but I absolutely had a drink with dinner. And I am so glad I quit before lockdown because I would work from home on a Friday. So 2-3 o'clock, I'd be having a wine to finish off my afternoon of work. So to think that could have been happening every single day is such a scary thought.
And I think it was a common story too during ISO. Consumption of alcohol did go up in the early days of ISO. And the final quick question I had to ask you before I continue is you mentioned before about you pick up energy from other people.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. And I personally like being around drunk people. Like I like it because once they start lifting, I feel that I start lifting.
Yeah.
So is that the same for you?
Yeah. So there is that wall that I hit when I'm like, I can't be around you guys anymore.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I love it because I am such a social, bubbly person. I will go up to talk to anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
I love starting off conversations. I love introducing myself to a stranger. So being around clubs, being at bars, like it doesn't worry me at all because it's the vibe, it's the music. It's like everyone dressed up to have a good time. And like, as much as I think they could absolutely do it without booze and still have a great night with being by my side, like being around drunks isn't an issue for me. It's not a trigger. I don't feel that, just because they're drinking, I want to drink. It's more like they're like slurring their words and I still sound amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm totally on the same page as you there. There comes a certain point where you're like, okay, it's time to peel off. But up until that point, you're having fun. And I just like also being in control. Like you're like, all right, I'm ready to go home. Or, you can like, I haven't shared this yet, Maso, with you, but when I went away on a girls' trip recently, one of the girls lost their phones. And I ended up, I didn't find it, but I helped her find it. Whereas if I was blind with her, we'd be like, like her phone was missing kind of thing. So, so there's something about having that, being in control and, still being able to speak normally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's have a chat about alcohol-free drinks. I actually want to talk about our episode sponsor today is the girls from Smug AF Cocktails, Joe and Loz. We are massive fans of Joe and Loz and their products. They have a margarita and a mojito. Maso, I know you're a big fan.
Massive fan. But given that I was at hardcore, I pretty much drank margaritas for Australia during lockdown. So I'm the connoisseur. I'm the margarita expert. And their margies hit the mark and then some. Oh, and they come in a can.
They come in a can.
They give you the warm, warm alcohol taste where you get that little warm sensation of the burn.
burn.
Throat. Yeah,
burn.
And do you know what I love? Joe and Liza, just like you and me, Breeza, and you, Sammy, it's like us making a margarita or a mojito.
Yeah.
Let's make alcohol-free drinks. Like they're just like a couple of banging birds wanting, and you know what I love? Their little fun tomorrow. Oh, sorry, it's fun tonight, fresh tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's a little
that's
line. How good is that?
No,
And I've got a little claim to fame with Smug. I was actually the first person to get my hands on their cans when they launched. I was like the number one ticket holder. And I was the first one to buy. But when they launched their margies, I bought a 6-pack of margies, and that was probably the first drink I like in the non-alc space that I tried that gave me the burn. I never knew that was a thing.
The burn, feel the burn. Yes,
so Sammy,
well done, Smug.
Yeah, well done, Smug. And Sammy, I know you do like a AF cocktail, so you need to get on board.
Absolutely.
They can be purchased from Smug what is it? Smug. Just Google Smug AF
Smug
cocktails.
AF cocktails.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the show notes and it'll be all over Instagram. Get it in your life. It's the best.
I was going to say, I feel like this is actually not a bad segue, Sammy, to the next question we have for you around sober dating. And not even just sober dating, but what about like going out sober and picking up? Is that a thing? Like, can you talk us through that?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's a thing. I enjoy sex, love pleasure with other people, self-pleasure, love it all. I think there has been a change with going out and picking up. Like it just doesn't happen anymore. Like if I'm going out to get a one-night stand, I just don't, it just doesn't sit well with me, because if they're drinking, well, then they can't provide consent. And absolutely most important thing, but also secondly, they're probably sweaty and gross. I'm like, I don't want to take them home anyway. So it's been a little different. So I've had to go to the apps, which does annoy me a little bit because I do like meeting people face to face. But for one night stands and like if I'm dating, happy to date, but if I'm like having a break from dating, I'm like, well, I still need to get it. So there's some great apps out there called Field, where you just put in your sexual pleasures, what you want, and then it's just like Tinder. So you're just swiping on what you want, and then you're like, hey, like you're hot, want to bang type of thing.
Right. So you know there's a no strings attached type. It's just right. I never knew that.
Yeah, and that's why I love it so much, because everyone's like straight up with what they want. Like you can be on Hinge or Bumble and then they're just really trying to get your pants. I'm like, mate, get on Field. Like you can get in my pants over there. Like here I'm like,
DTF, mate. DTF.
Yeah. Like on this app, I'm trying to date and meet my person. Like on the other apps, I'm just like, yeah, you can see what I want there, mate. Like you can see it all. Yeah. So I think like I've had a couple of one night stands when I've been out, but it doesn't sit well with me. Like I'll always have to make sure that they're not drinking too much. If they're practically sober, or if they are sober, then great. But yeah, for me, it's been a little bit of a change. Like it's really nice not waking up with regret and like rolling over and being like, oh, what did I do last night? Get out of my house.
Is that what it looks like through a sober lens?
Yeah.
Well, not last night.
No. So when it's like, but when I'm sober one night stands, it's like I generally want you to be there. I want you to like enjoy my body. I want to enjoy your body. The sex is so much better. Like I think, pride myself on being pretty good in bed. Like I hope so.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah, get some reviews out there. Just a little feedback form. I'd have such a yes. So now
can you get like a like how you get like Uber rating? Can you get a Field rating? Like do they give you stars?
That'd be amazing. Actually terrifying. I don't know if I do want that feedback. When they leave, I'm just gonna like text them like a survey monkey.
How likely would you be to rate me to somebody else?
Well, you could be real old school and have a little suggestion box as you walk out the door.
Pop it in. Oh God. Maybe that's something I have to think about. I've got like a whiteboard on my phone as you walk out of my apartment, so maybe I can just like come write some things before you go.
Make sure you tell them to BYO Sharpie. So they can see.
I love that.
I love it.
So, but dating-wise, it's absolutely amazing. Like, I love it. I love my life and what I've created, being sober and everything I do. If I meet my person, I meet my person. I'll go through stages where I'll have 6 months off dating, and then I'll jump back on, and then like 3 people hit me up at once. I'm like, why didn't this happen 6 months ago? Like, it gets so much easier. But yeah, so I really enjoy dating. I think every bad date's a good story, and every good date could end up being, you know, something pretty special. So, but sober dating's been a bit of a change. And I think the biggest change is just literally having that conversation, especially if they're a drinker. Like on my dating profiles, I'll say that I'm sober. I would go in and out of saying that. Sometimes I wouldn't have it on my profile because people make judgments. And I know when I was a drinker, I would make judgments on sober people when I know I'm not a bad person. So I'm like, oh, they're not a bad person. They just haven't been around sober people. So I'd hide it off my profile. But as soon as we're going on a date, I'm like, hey, just letting you know I'm sober.
Would it affect your hit rate, Sammy?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does, because now I've got it on my profile. It does affect my hit rate. So but lately, like having that on there, I'm like, well, this is who I am. I'm not changing if you can't. Like, we're getting like a little bit older now where I'm like, looking after people's mental health, people are sort of getting it. Yeah. But it's still like, we still have that stigma, right? So when we think of someone who, like, I've never called myself an alcoholic because I don't like that word. But when we think of someone who is a heavy drinker that went sober, that they must have had this massive rock bottom moment. We think of a homeless person drinking out of a paper bag type of thing. So when we get to a first date, like I had a first date the other day, and he messaged me to go out for a drink, and I was like, yeah, sure, just letting you know I don't drink. And he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't read that on your profile. Classic men, can't read.
They don't read the profile full stop.
God. Sorry, I shouldn't say all men. Some men. So we went for a drink, and I picked the bar because I know they've got great alcohol-free margaritas. So I'm with you, gals. And we got there, and he ordered one too, and I was like, you drink. I was like, you drink, it's fine. And he's like, no. And I was like, oh.
I like that.
So we had a drink, and then you can feel the like sober tension in the air. Like they just want to know, they're desperate to know. So I'm like, hey, like I go out drinking like 2 years ago for my mental health. Like had really bad anxiety, blah, blah, blah. Like, don't care if other people drink. This is the decision I made for me. Like, it's just such like I've repeated that story on a date so many times. It must sound so dull. And he had a few questions, and it was just nice. It was just like nice conversation. But I was like, being sober is such a small facet to who I am as a person now. Like there are so many different other amazing things about me that I want to chat about, that I want to learn about you as well on a date. So it was really nice the first time where I've heard someone go like, it's like, okay, enough about that. Like, tell me something else about it. And I was like, oh, yes. Like, I'm like, I'm not just sober Sam. Like there's like
sober Sam.
Yeah, like singing Sam and party Sam and all this sort of stuff.
Sam.
Yes, exactly. It's a lot of S words in there. It was really, really nice. But I do understand to get that conversation out quickly, as much as sometimes it does annoy me. It's just easier. Like, and the thing is, my story isn't some crazy story that I'm not comfortable telling. Obviously, I run Soapmate, so I tell my story every day. But it's just that social stigma that's still there. And it's just like, okay, when you're on that first date, when you're going on a sober date and you're going with someone that may be a drinker, just, you know, probably reflect and take a bit of understanding that they may need that. Whether you want to tell them the true story or not, that's totally up to you. But once you've got that story out the road, then it's like free fall conversation. You can talk about whatever you want. Like it's out the road. Off. Yeah.
Is old mate getting date number 2?
Yes.
On your mate.
Yeah.
Just quickly, the app Field, which I've learnt about just 5 minutes ago. Yeah. How good's the name, Field? Is it like playing the field?
So it's spelled. It's Field with like a D on the end, so like Field.
I Field it. Oh, right.
Like Field, the D on the end, but you say it like Field. Like got you.
Like
the field's open. Oh. Yeah, so it's really, really cool. I like.
What's the like talent like in Geelong then? Do you mainly hunt in Geelong, or are you hunting?
2 years ago, it was a little smaller. It was a lot smaller. And now I'm like, holy shit, like this is Geelong. There's like, and it's so good. Like I've got like my face cut off in my photos because like I'm quite sexually explicit with what I want in the bedroom. But if you know me on Instagram, you'd be like, oh, that's Sam. Like I really don't like, if you know me, you know that's my body.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's a funny thing. Like I love it because everyone's so straight up with what they want.
Yeah.
The app is really crap. Like the quality, like it crashes all the time, which is really frustrating. So they really need to work on that because like
it's blown up.
Oh, it's blown up. Yeah,
handle it.
That's it, right? But yeah, highly recommend it. Even if you want to go like put a fake picture up and just go for a bit of a look and see what's out there because it's the same thing with sobriety, right? We're starting to have more of these taboo conversations. Like we enjoy sex. Like sex is great. Like why don't we want to talk about it? Why don't we want to meet people that have the same desires as us or want to explore the same areas that we want to explore? It's like, yeah.
It's already downloaded.
Good. Yes, love that. I love that. I'm so happy.
I'm loving this. I'm just loving this chat. Can I just say? I'm just loving this chat.
Open book.
Oh, it's
Whatever.
just so refreshing the way that you're talking about dating and your, self-pleasure, your self-love, everything. Like you're just so open with that. And even the talk about dating, how your little cue there that you said a bad date is a good story. Like, so many people I'm around for years, for 100 years, talking about dating. Everyone's like, no, I hate the dating apps, hate the apps. Essentially, we all love sex. We all love it. Like, and I think this is, I didn't know about this app. So thank you for being so open and sharing because it will definitely flick some switches in lots of heads to just go, oh, okay, Sam's doing that. It's giving everyone permission to just be open for it.
Absolutely. I think it's really important. Like we've had we've a Zoom catch up on our Sobriety community on Facebook. So we have Zoom catch ups on there, and we were having a chat. And there was a woman there that's in her 40s. Single mum wanting to get back out there and saying she downloaded Bumble, and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I was like, no, like just swipe, just start talking to people. That's all you have to do is reply to a message. And then if you go out for coffee, you go out for coffee. And I was listening to a podcast, and it's a conversation that just stuck with me. Like whether I meet my person or not, that may or may not happen, but there was a conversation on a podcast where a psychologist was talking with her bestie, and she was saying to her bestie, hey, I just want to know, like after all the shitty dates, after all this crap of dealing with men and all this sort of stuff, that I'm going to meet the love of my life. And her bestie replied and said, but of course you will. Like, how could someone not love you? Like, you were such incredible. Like, how was that not the end? How is that not how it's going to end? And I told that to the person in our catch up, and we all just started crying. It was really beautiful. She said thank you, and she appreciated it. And I think that dating can be tough. Like I'll go through 6 months of I'm taking a break. Like I've only just got back into dating in the last 2 weeks. I hadn't dated at all this year. I had a really bad date, and I've had a couple of good dates. So I think that of course someone's going to love you. Like how could someone not love you? Like it will happen. It's just, but the thing is not being on the app, staying at home, not meeting people, like they're not just going to walk into your life. Like you do have to put yourself out there. But when it does get exhausting, absolutely delete it. Like I've deleted the apps. I was on it for 2 weeks, already frustrated by it, but I've met some really great people. I'll just see how that pans out and go from there.
Yeah, love that. Open for business.
Yeah, absolutely. Slide into my DMs, guys.
Yes. Well, you can take this little one, Sammy, too, when anybody's struggling, because I always used to tell people he's out there looking for you too.
Yes.
Yeah. He's trying to find, or she, whoever, whatever, however you're rolling, but they're trying to find you as well. It's divine timing, isn't it? So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So is.
Yeah, love that. So 2 years, when this podcast drops, you'll be 2 years, 95 days sober. Well done, Breeza. Well done, Breeza, on the maths. I didn't do that. I can't take any credit for that. Isn't that amazing? She's done so good. So can you share us then, what are the highs and the lows? Tell us the triumphs and the fails that sobriety you've experienced.
I'm going to start with the lows because I want to end on a high note.
Love that.
The lows and thinking about this, I don't want to say that my sobriety's been super easy or anything like that, but the lows haven't been that big for me. And I don't want to sound like, oh, I've had it easy and I've just rocked it and it's just been a walk in the park, but they haven't been that low. There was one event a bit over a month ago that I was going to where I knew the birthday girl really well, but I didn't know a lot of people at the party. They were more like acquaintances and things like that. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to make heaps of friends and this is going to be great. And I rocked up and I don't know what happened within my body, but I was just so uncomfortable. And I was like, I'm having a shit time. Like, what is going on? Like, I'm not talking to people. It was just like awkward conversation. I was like running to the bathroom at every chance I could just to take a bit of a breather. And I think on the 7th trip to the bathroom, I was like, okay, like you've been here for like an hour 20. You have 4.5 hours to go. What are we going to do? And I was really upset at myself and really mad at myself because I'm such a social person and I push that on Soulmate so much that I can still be this person. And, 99% of the time I have been. But that night I just couldn't get it. And I was like, okay, well, who are you going to be in this party? And I thought, I'm just going to be the listener. So I didn't try to be anyone. I'm not like, because when I'm out, when I'm socializing, when I'm this like fiery, like, social person, I'm not trying to be anyone else. Like that's literally who I am as a person. That's just what comes out of me. So at that night, it wasn't there. And I was like, well, if I'm going to be this fiery person and this social bunny, that's actually not who I am tonight. And it was really hard. I was like messaging mates. I was like, I wish you guys were here. Like, wish you guys had my back. And they were like, what are you talking about? Like, you're fine on your own. So I did have a conversation with my mates the next day. I was like, God, you didn't support me. I had a bad night. So I said, okay, like this isn't how I'm going to be that night. And I was, I just went and listened to people and I like sort of stood a bit back and I learned some really great things about these acquaintances that I hadn't connected with before and got to listen to their stories, and it was really lovely. It did get to a point where I hit that wall where I was like, you guys are drunk and your stories are shit. But before that, they were really good and it was really nice. And like a few people from that party we're going for a walk with, we're catching up as friends, and I thought that was really nice. But that was if that happened to me while I was still drinking, I would have just smashed some cocktails and shots and I would have just met everyone on their level.
Yeah.
So that was really hard for me to recognize that, okay, if I'm not having a night where I'm like my usual self, it's like, well, how do you want to be that night? Are you just going to give up and go home, or are you going to actually figure out how to socialize and like get through this challenge? And I'm so glad I stayed. Like I was still there till 1 a.m, ended up having a great time. But it like that first hour and a half, probably first 2 hours, I genuinely didn't want to be there. And it was really, really hard to stay. And it was really, really hard not to just sit on the toilet for like 2 hours until I got that confidence up. So I think that was, as much as it was a low night, it was really good to learn that I don't have to be anyone that I'm not. Like if I'm not my usual self, well, I'll just be that person that I am tonight and I'll just make do with what it is. So yeah, as much as there are a few lows, like with every low, it's like you're learning so much about yourself. And I'm so socially aware and so self-aware now of who I am as a person. And that's probably been the biggest high for me, is that I know what I want. Like I know myself so well. I was driving with a friend and I said something to her and it had a bit of tone in what I said. And I was like, oh, sorry, that tone's not directed at you. It was directed at, I was mad about something. And she replied and she's like, I love how social, like I love how self-aware you are.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is the best compliment. Yeah. Best compliment. Like if I can, we all have emotions and sometimes like, they'll come out with a bit of tone and, but I know how to correct myself. I know what I was feeling in that moment. And when I was drinking, all I was doing was numbing my feelings. Whether I was happy, I was like drinking to celebrate and I was just end up crashing. If I was drinking to be low, those lows the next day were so much worse. And now I know how to regulate my emotions. I know like working with my psychologist who I've been seeing for like 5 years, who was pushing me to go sober. And now I'm like, oh, I went sober. I'm the best. Like you had nothing to do with it. It was all me. But like now when we have like our conversations, it's not about like regret about something I did or something I said to someone. It's like, okay, well, I was in this situation. I reacted like this. I didn't manage myself that well. How can we manage me better next time? And I'm just continuing to learn about myself. I know what I want. Dating, it's so good. Like, I consciously date now. Like, I don't go on dates with people that I know. I'll try and, like, you know, date out of, like, who I'd usually pick, because I think you should, you know, try to meet different people. But I don't waste my time dating anymore. Like, if we go on one date and, like, we didn't connect, like, usually I would just drink through the next 3 dates and be like, there's fake connection there. And
Yes.
yeah, we've connected. Like, we've got there. I was like, no, we have nothing in common. We just like to get pissed.
Yeah.
Like, have a night out. So, yeah, I think the biggest high and the gratitude I have for myself is, like, I know what I want, I go after it, or I learn from it. And yeah, I can't fault sobriety. Like, it's given me everything I thought alcohol could, right? But I've actually done all this myself.
Incredible. Incredible. And you know what, Sammy, being a listener, like you said before, how you switched your sort of roles to being a listener.
Yeah.
Being a listener is a bloody good role, and I appreciate a good listener over someone who's just going to rabbit on about themselves the whole night. And I actually had that experience a few weekends ago. I was out with some friends, and there was a couple of guys there. They were chatting about themselves. And as a day and the night went on, old mate was just chatting about himself more and more. And I'm like, I'm checking out of this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, it was just too much. So being a listener is such an important role to play.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I will definitely take that note as when I go out now. It's like, okay, play a bit more the listening roles that have been like the party gal, like do a bit of both.
Bit of a balance. Bit of a balance is always good.
Yeah, exactly.
So Sammy, you've got such wisdom, can I just say? Like, oh my God, how old are you?
28.
You're 28, like bloody Nora. That's all I can say is you have done the work, girlfriend, and you're just a ball of energy and just such a bright light. To our listeners, we always like to give our listeners some little tips and some tools they tool about. Can you tell us what were some of the helpful tools that you use in your early days of sobriety? To our listeners?
There's probably a few things. I think the biggest thing is deciding that you're actually going to take a break. Whether it be a month, whether it be 3 months, make that decision and stick to it as best you can. So tell your friends that, hey, like, can we catch up socially, going for a walk instead of going to a bar, whatever's going to make it easier for you. There's just never a perfect time to go sober. Like, there's always an event you think you have to drink at, or a celebration or a birthday. So once you've decided you're going sober for that break, like, just don't compromise on that, because, you know, if you're going to say you're going to do it the next month, there's always going to be some other reason not to do it. And then use that time wisely. I think that previously I hadn't. I get right into the gym, but I did nothing with my mind. And I think that's the biggest thing, is our mindset. So if you haven't explored your relationship with alcohol, like, jump onto Soapmates, go check out our posts, have a bit of a read, and start really exploring what alcohol is doing to you. Like, do you need it to socialize? Do you need it to, like, have sex? Do you need it to be confident? Like, when you take it all back, it's like, whatever situations you're in, like, that is you doing it. Like, you can do it. It may be a bit of a challenge. You may have to learn a few different things. Like, for me, like, I did have to learn, like, how to date sober, because I was like, oh, I can't go to bars. I was like, no, I can go to bars. Like, it's their issue if I'm not drinking, like, not my issue. I'm happy to be at a bar. Like, and then other thing is just reading. There's so many books out there. This Naked Mind by Annie Grace is absolutely incredible. Completely flipped my mindset, because you don't know what you don't know. Like, for me, I'd never explored it, never learnt about it. I didn't even know there was a sober community out there. So yeah, get involved in the community. Listen to podcasts, read books. Fully immerse yourself in it, and then at the end of that 30, 90 days, like, reflect, like, take some self-reflection. What did I learn? What do I want to take away from this 30 to 90 days going forward? And really assess what's going on, and enjoy the benefits of being sober. Enjoy the mornings, like, enjoy the energy. Like, don't take it too seriously. Like, we're not super serious sober people here, I don't think. We're, like, quite fun-loving.
Absolutely. Do you have a morning routine, Sammy? Because you've spoken about it. Well, can you talk us through that?
Yeah. So I've had long COVID for the past 4 months.
Yes.
So I've been really, really sick. And as of last week, I'm back into my morning routine. So I've only just gone back to work full time. You might have seen Soapmates go up and down. Oh, I'll just hit my mic. Apologies. Going up and down with how well I am. But I'm officially back. So I get up at 5 in the morning. I do some deep breathing. I do a bit of a stretch. Depending on my morning, I'll either do the stretching or a meditation. And then I will hit the gym and do something outside. So I've got an electric bike that I love roaming around on. So this morning, what did I do? I got up at 5. I did my stretch, did my meditation, went to a yoga class, then went for a bike ride, then came home and did an abs class, and then I always have cooked brekkie. I love cooked
unreal.
brekkie. Yeah, but I'm a mornings person. I think for me, like, I work full time. If I'm not doing something for myself in the morning, it really derails my day. If I'm not exercising, I don't have energy to get through the day. So if you were talking to me a month ago, it would have been really different. I was really struggling to get up. Like, I was getting up like half an hour before work because I was just that sick. So it was like the start of this year has been probably the hardest year for my sobriety, for my health, for my life, to be honest. The past 2 weeks have been absolutely incredible for me. I go for a swim every Friday with my best mate, Dan, and last Friday I walked down to meet him at the promenade. He's like, "You're back." He's like, "I can see you're glowing again." I was like, "Yes, I am back." So, yeah, I'm back.
Awesome. Good to have you back, Sammy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome back. What a beautiful way to start the day. I'm right into that, morning rituals.
Yes, same.
I'm with you 100%. Sammy, the first time I saw you was actually on A Current Affair.
Was it?
Yeah, with Alexis Dage. That's the first time you came into my stratosphere.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run through a couple of little rando questions at the end. It's a bit of a quiz master. But I'm just going to little deep dive into your Instagram. You've been on ABC News, Trailblazers, Triple J Hack, Current Affair, Frankie Magazine. Which has been your favourite media appearance?
Can I say 2?
Yeah. For you today, you can.
Okay, thank you. So, bucket list goal was Frankie Magazine. That was incredible. So it's still out now if you guys want to go get it.
We will.
I've been reading Frankie since I got their first issue when I was a kid. My mum used to buy it for me every month. It was the expensive mag.
Oh, yes.
So, it was an absolute honour when they got in contact with me and wanted to write a story about me, and I'm just like, the photo shoot was so fun. They're probably some of my favourite photos that I have of myself. So that was an absolute honour. I still can't get over it. Like, I've got the magazine on my coffee table, and I've just painted my house pink and oranges and things like that. So and the cover matches like my and then my other favourite, which I do go on a little bit, is Triple J Hookup. So that is their sex and dating, I was going to say podcast, but this segment, on a Sunday night. So I love going in, telling my stories about sober sex and dating. I think it's so important to be having that conversation. And the producer, Dee, they're all so amazing. They're so supportive of everything we're doing with Sober Mates. So continuing in a relationship with them is just is wonderful to have those conversations and to get directly into contact with other young Australians as well.
That's awesome. But I'm not going to stop there because I've got a couple more questions. But congratulations on that. That's so amazing.
Thank you.
I've got goosebumps when you were talking about Frankie being like the bucket list. That's amazing.
It's so weird. I was like, oh, damn, I peaked too early.
Put your feet up now. You're done.
No, I'm done. It's cruise for the rest of my life now.
Well, congratulations, mate. That's amazing. And to Triple J, we need to get on Hack as well.
Yeah.
So you love the sun, you love the water, and you love doggos, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Are we sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Yeah, thought so.
Yeah.
And I've seen you on the surfboard behind the boat.
Yeah, wake surfing.
Wake surfing. Are you goofy or regular?
Goofy.
Yeah, goofy.
Goofy. Yeah, I should know that. Yeah.
The goof. Do you love still or sparkling water?
Still.
Ooh, flat.
Yeah,
Flat.
I'm bubbly enough.
Yeah, you're bubbly enough. Yeah,
Can't overdo the bubbles. Bring it down.
Yeah.
Rein it in. Smooth. Peanut butter, crunchy or smooth?
smooth all the way. Crunchy. Oh, I cannot stand crunch.
That's where
give me the crunch.
we'll take your crunch and your bubbles. Actually, this is a good balance between us all, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good. This is a good party.
And the last question, if you're a dog, what sort of dog would you be? What would your name be? And would you sleep on the bed?
So I would be a Great Dane because that is my dream dog. I just want like a dog that's real fluffy, like they're just so cute. And my name would be Jimmy because that's what I'm going to name my Great Dane one day, Jimmy. And I would have my own bed and bedroom as a dog, so I wouldn't sleep at the feet.
Boss. Absolute boss.
Yeah.
Your domain.
Yeah.
That was great, mate. Thank you for playing.
Great questions too, Maso.
Yeah, that was great.
Before you throw over to text regret, how can people become a sober mate? Where do they go to? How do they join?
Absolutely. So on Instagram, it is at Sobermates, Sobermates Community on Facebook. If you want to follow me personally, it's __ Sammy Wilson. And then you can also Google us and check out our website as well and jump onto my mailing list.
Yes, awesome, awesome. Thank you for creating such a beautiful community. Actually, I did want to ask, who's in the community? Males, females, old, young, mixed bag?
Mixed bag, absolute mixed bag. We've got males and females. We love the males in our group and starting their conversations. They're so much more vocal in our Facebook community. Because I know it's hard to be, that's how we started it, because it's hard to have two-way conversations on Instagram because really they're just DMing me. With the Facebook community, they can DM everyone. We've got about 500 members now.
Unreal.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Good.
And then, we had an event last week. We had a mix. Our youngest was 22 and our oldest was, I'm going to guess, late 40s. Did not get the age. So, we are, I would say mostly 25s to 40s, but absolutely have people on the other ends of that getting engaged and contacting us, and absolutely love it. I'm absolutely here for everyone who wants to join our group. So yeah, love it.
So good, Sammy. Love it.
So good. Oh, we're full fangirling, Sammy.
Full fangirling.
Keep going. I'm loving it.
Takes regret, you can't forget. Cellular memory deficit.
Okay, so I was scrolling my phone, and the thing is, whenever I woke up the next morning, I would delete the text messages because if it wasn't there on my phone, it didn't happen. But my poor ex.
Can I just say that's genius, by the way?
Yeah, thank you. It's just bad for a podcast like this, and I can't actually bring up the screenshots. But I do have vivid memories, and my poor ex. We're really good friends now. But we were so toxic to each other. Like we were just terrible. Like we were in and out of like dating, not dating, sleeping with each other, needing each other. So when we had the bubble for ISO, like I was already sober, but like we just used each other. Like it was disgusting. So I know like before I was sober, when we were like doing this half in, half out thing, like I was just so, I'd get home at like 1 a.m. and I'd be messaging him, and he wasn't a big drinker, which is such a surprise. But yeah, so he was a big drinker. So I'd get home drunk and I would just be messaging like, I can't sleep alone. Like I'm lonely. I can't stay with me. Just come hold me. Like I won't have sex with you. I won't. It's like, Sam, we've got to stop having sex. Like it's not, I'm like, we're not going to have sex. I can hold back. We're not going to have sex. Every time.
Sure.
Every time. There was not one time he came over and we didn't. So I mean, like he could never say no to me, and like it was all consensual. It was consensual, but he would never say no to me, and I just like drunk Sam was just
toey,
and just toey, and just wanted it, and like she got it, damn, she got it, but probably not the healthiest thing I've ever done. So
yeah, that toxic,
yeah.
I love that. I love that he caved each time. Though. He helped himself too. He wanted it. Yeah.
Who wouldn't? Like, come on, you get to come to bed with me. You'll be fine. Have fun. Grow up.
And then afterwards, give you the flick so I can wake up by myself.
Yeah. And then have that sad morning regret the next day. Like, oh, whatever, it's fine. We'll do it again the next day.
Rinse and repeat, baby.
Now we have a beautiful friendship, and I don't cut him into sex anymore. So to other people for that now.
Yes, that's it. You've got it all worked out,
exactly. Yeah. He's traded out. So
he's such a good sport.
He was. He did so well. We did so well.
Shout out to Sammy's ex.
I will definitely send this to him. And
We're your new number one fans.
It's time for the recommendation of the week.
Okay, so I recommend everyone getting up at 5 in the morning, and I know it's not for everyone. Just set your alarm 15 minutes earlier until you get to 5 a.m. Highly recommend starting the day off for you. If you've got kids, if you've got a busy job, if you just need some alone time, you've got crazy housemates. I was getting up at 5 when I had 3 other housemates, and it was the best because no one was up and no one was around. I think it's really important to take time just to let your thoughts flow in. Don't play music, don't have TV going, don't have Netflix going, just see what thoughts come in the morning, because we don't have enough downtime. And I've learnt that with being sick. I was having Netflix running all the time because I literally had to stay awake to try not to sleep during the day so I could sleep at night. But then I was missing out on all these good thoughts coming through, and I always had music playing. So I think quiet mornings are super, super important. So if anyone's going to start getting up at 5 a.m, message me. If they want to message me good morning, I'll be up to reply to you. So I try not to be on my phone at 5, but if it's going to get you up in the morning, I'm happy to send you a week of good morning messages to get you there. So.
Mate, I'm on your list, Sammy, because I had this conversation with a friend probably 2 weeks ago. I'm like, right, we're getting up at 5 o'clock every morning. I said, we'll check in with each other for 7 days. Yeah. First day, yep. Second day, nope. Third day, nope. And then I actually got up at 5 o'clock yesterday morning because I had to do some work. And then I was like, right, I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock this morning because I thought I'll get up and fold some washing before the day starts. The alarm went off at 5. I snoozed it till 6:40 a.m. So I need you, Sammy.
I can't handle the snooze.
I love a snooze every 10 minutes.
It drives me insane. That's one of the benefits of being single is there's no one in my bed to freaking snooze their alarm because it drives me insane. So if I snooze, I'll snooze for 5 minutes and I'll be just all druggy in the morning until wake up and I'm alert. But sober druggy, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm not a snoozer. So
all right, I'm on your list then.
I'm with you.
Seriously.
Sammy, I hate a snooze. It just aggravates me. It irritates me.
I don't want to be grumpy in the morning. I hate that noise. Turn it off, get up.
Have you got your alarm on, or do you wake up naturally?
I wake up naturally 5 minutes too, so I get to turn it off.
Same.
So that's only been this week. Last week it was very heavy on the alarms while I was setting up my routine, but I know I still have it on, but by next week I'll be fine. It's just annoying how dark it is because I sleep with my curtains open because I'm like, I can wake up with the sunrise. I'm like, I'm awake before the sun's up.
That's an awesome recommendation. It is the best time of the day. I get so excited to go to bed early so I can eat up the day early because it is the quiet time of that morning, and it was a great recommendation to say no music, no noise. There is something so calming about that time of the day. So
it's gorgeous. Yeah,
I'm with you. Yeah, good call.
Great call, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, that's a wrap up, isn't it?
Wow. This is so much fun.
I don't think I've ever laughed so much in a potty, Sammy.
I know. My cheeks are so sore.
My cheeks are sore too. This has been fun. I've loved it.
You've done it. You've been laughing at yourself the whole time.
I
did it.
Yeah. And I reckon, you mentioned the hookup before. I reckon they actually produce their shows onto a potty afterwards.
They do.
So if you want to hear Sammy, want to hear more of Sammy, we all want to hear more of Sammy, you can listen to Triple J Hookup. Yeah. Wherever you get your favourite podcast.
We love you, Sammy.
I feel like Sammy's coming back on. I feel like at some point.
Oh, my God, yes.
I think we need to do regular check-ins with Sammy's dating, Sammy's 5 o'clock, Sammy's laughing.
We're going to be accountable guys to each other.
Yes.
We need these check-ins.
The Sammy segment.
The Sammy segment.
Oh, my God, I'm all for this. All for it.
We're not joking.
Yeah, we're actually not joking.
I'm so into this.
Sammy segment.
right,
Sammy's sexy segment.
We didn't get to chat about like what happens on a date, so we need this segment to really chat about the dates.
Deep dive. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right.
We can live through you.
Yeah. But I just reckon that whole dating thing, people, it's just such a whoa thing that people are so fascinated with, because I don't know anyone who's been on a sober date except for you, Sammy.
Yeah.
And even I remember getting my friend ready for her when she met her now husband.
Yeah.
So it was like a blind date. She knew who he was, but not like they'd met once, I think, before. But anyway, I remember getting her ready and just like pouring wine down her neck, basically while helping her get ready, like just chugging.
I was the same. Like I used to have a glass of wine or like a glass of whiskey when I was doing my hair and makeup. Like I would never go on a date sober.
Never. No. Oh God, this is a thing. Okay,
what's happening?
We're doing it.
We're gonna wrap up this app and we're gonna chat about making this happen.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped.
Thanks so much, Sammy. You're a bloody legend.
Thanks, Sammy.
Absolute superstar.
Thank you so much for having me. Absolute honour. Loved it.
We've loved it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sammy.
See ya.
Bye.
This podcast is proudly produced by our audio engineer, music extraordinaire, Eric Ladd.
We love you, Eric.